Coming up next on Hooten's Arkansas football, hard-hitting highlights from the final week of the regular season, including conference championship games between Lake Hamilton and Pine Bluff, and Batesville against Wynn. Highlights of up to 25 games in the next 30 minutes. Brace yourself for Hooten's Arkansas football next.
Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
Let's take it to him!
You stuck it to him and you won it!
This is our time of the year.
Check this out.
The regular season is over and we're headed for the playoffs. Hello and welcome to Hooten's Arkansas football. In the next half hour, we'll tell you who made the playoffs and how they got there. As we wrap up the 10th week of the high school football season, we're glad you've tuned in. We're going to try to get in about 25 games in the next 30 minutes, so we better get started. And we'll begin with highlights from Class 5A tonight, and they're brought to you by Sonic. Let's begin up in Fort Smith with the Battle of Rogers Avenue. Southside against Northside. Neither team looked especially good, but Southside quarterback John Thomas put the Rebels up 7-0, and that's all they would need, along with some Northside miscues, to claim a share of the 5A West title. Final score, Southside 19, Northside 0.
I thought that the guys that were taking the place of some of those that got injured last week, as the game went on defensively, they got up to speed, and I was proud of that. You know, I mean, exceptionally proud of the way we bounced back tonight after a really tough last week, and hopefully we got back on track. And now it's a one and you're out, and we gotta go back and do some more work.
In Bentonville, the Tigers were fired up, looking to end their season with an upset of top-ranked Fayetteville. The Purple Dogs were playing without standout quarterback Woody Wilson and having special teams trouble too. Michael Stewart blocks the punt for Bentonville, but the Tigers had their own punting problem. The high snap gets over Mitchell Smith's head, and not everything would go right for Coach Gary Ware's Tigers, but the defense of Bentonville was good enough to shut out Fayetteville. Scored the big upset. Final score, Bentonville 33, Fayetteville 0. We travel a few miles down Highway 71 to Springdale, where the Bulldogs played host to Rogers. Springdale senior tailback Zach Butler is healthy again. He carried 25 times for 120 yards. He would score Springdale's first touchdown to make it 7-0. Rogers tried to answer, but Johnny Brewer's pass is intercepted by Kurt Warford, and that would set up a 38-yard field goal by Springdale's Neil Skelton. On Rogers' next possession, Brewer is about to be picked off again. This time, it's Josh Fields, and Fields is going to bring it back 35 yards for the touchdown. After a 5-0 start, Rogers fails to make the playoffs. Meanwhile, Springdale travels to Benton next week. Final score, Bulldogs 30, Rogers 8. In the annual Battle of the Bell last night, undefeated Little Rock Central had little trouble with Little Rock Hall. Tiger Jr. running back Mickey Dean with a burst of speed, and he's gone 53 yards just like that. Central's up 7-0. A little bit later, Central taking time to work on its passing game. Quarterback Clark Irwin hit Stuart Franks for another score, but this has got to be a concern. Dean hobbled out of the game with an ankle sprain. He wouldn't return, but Dedrick Poole's brother would pick up the slack. Thomas Page filling in nicely with the touchdown romp. Central was up 27-0, and the Tigers run the Warriors into the ground. Final score, undefeated Central 41, winless Hall 8. Little Rock Catholic needed a win last night over Conway to get into the playoffs, but Conway's defense was stout all night, and the offense let workhorse Peyton Hillis run right over the Rockets. And the Wampus Cats earned the number 2 playoff seed. They'll play host to Lake Hamilton next Friday. Final score, Conway 25, Catholic 3. The Cabot Panthers jumped to a 21-0 halftime lead on rival Jacksonville, but the Red Devils came out throwing in the third quarter. After the catch on the sidelines by Breetrick Miles, Jacksonville was in scoring position, but on 4th and goal, quarterback J.C. Goff throws to the end zone. Cabot's secondary is there to knock it away, and the Panthers have won 8 in a row heading into the playoffs. Final score, Cabot 28, Jacksonville 0. At Watson Chapel Thursday night, the Wildcats playing playing host to playoff-bound Benton. And the Panthers offense continuing to put up big numbers. Justin Ray to Josh Brown for 38 yards on the opening drive. And then it's Justin Wells working his way to the far side, and Watson Chapel will not catch him. Benton was up 7-0, and Watson Chapel would fumble the ensuing kickoff. It was a rout early. Benton led 36-8 at halftime. The final, Panthers 50, Watson Chapel 28. We go from Watson Chapel to Lake Hamilton, where the Wolves were trying to win their first ever 5A South title, and it was tied at 24 in the fourth quarter when Lake Hamilton's quarterback Alex Photo runs 20 yards for the score on fourth down. That put the Wolves up. But Pine Bluff would use a stiff wind to answer with a 12-play scoring drive. Junior quarterback Nicholas McCrease hitting a streaking Ryan Wheatley for the 31-yard gain. And 6 plays later, senior Cedric Hill cuts back and sprints 7 yards for the touchdown. But the crucial conversion failed, and Lake Hamilton held on to a 31-30 lead. And then the Wolves would put the game away with a 14-play drive capped by Photo Sneak, and the jubilant Wolves claim a share of the league title. Final score, Lake Hamilton 37, Pine Bluff 30.
Yeah, we are a second half team by far. We've been down every game this whole year except for 2, and we came back and won.
And here's a look at Hooten's Arkansas football updated Class 5A rankings. Southside back on top after winning last night, and Fayetteville losing at Bentonville. Little Rock Central's undefeated at number 3, and Springdale looks ready for a strong playoff run. Then it's Cabot, Conway, Russellville, Jonesboro. West Memphis beat its final 2 opponents of the regular season by a combined 76-0, and Rogers was the 5th best team in the West this year. Lake Hamilton starts the second 10, then it's the Zebras, Camden Fairview, Bentonville up to number 14, then it's the Benton Panthers, followed by McClellan, Bryant down to number 17 after losing to North Little Rock. Searcy's in the playoffs, but Texarkana and El Dorado didn't make it. Cabot's dead T attack demands its running backs to be a tough bunch. And this year, All-State fullback Chris Robertson has shared the spotlight with halfback Brandon Wade. Wade has mostly lived in Robertson's shadow until this season, when he has provided Cabot with some speed on the corners, leading to big touchdowns like this one against Jonesboro in the conference championship game. Cabot's fastest player is Brandon Wade. He'll likely surpass the 1,000-yard mark in the playoffs, and he's our Coleman Kid of the Week. Congratulations again to Brandon Wade from Cabot, our Coleman Kid of the Week. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football. We have highlights from Class 4A, including the big showdown at Batesville between the Pioneers, the Yellow Jackets, and more. Coming up next on Hooten's Arkansas football.
Brought to you by Big Red Fina.
And we open our Class 4A coverage in the rugged West, where Alma and Greenwood battled last night for playoff positions. The winner would be the number 2 seed and play at home next week. The loser was headed for Sylvan Hills. And Greenwood was on the move in the second quarter, and a defensive struggle. Junior quarterback Micah Fritchie finds Brandon Buckert for one of Greenwood's 2 first downs in the first half. Then Fritchie again with the swing pass to Austin Eford, who picks up 7 yards down to the Alma 20, and that would set up the only score of the game. Senior kicker Seth Jones is going to try the 35-yarder, and it just gets over the crossbar, and Greenwood prevails in a defensive slugfest. The Bulldogs will play host to defending state champion Stuttgart next Friday. Final score, Greenwood 3, Alma 0.
I guarantee you there's not a sweeter sound in the world. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. You guys are warriors. This will be a great football game. Make it a great memory. You understand? Make it a great memory. All right, I want the captains to go.
Coach Gary Segrist and the Lakeside Rams had already secured a playoff spot heading into Thursday night's game against Hope. And on Lakeside's first possession, it's tailback Daniel Atkinson going to work. Atkinson is just a junior, but he carried 31 times for 120 yards, including this 11-yard touchdown, and the Rams would go on to secure the number 3 playoff spot from the 4A Southwest. Final score, Lakeside 21, Hope Bobcats 7. Undefeated Pulaski Robinson traveled to Hot Springs High Thursday night. The Senators had already secured their first conference championship in 13 years. And in the second quarter, Robinson was up 20-0 on Hot Springs. But the Trojans get on the move when Keith Wilcox rips off this 30-yard run all the way down to the 4. Hot Springs would have to settle for a Ryan McCabe field goal, and Robinson would come right back. Next play from scrimmage, junior quarterback Jonathan Dale passes 52 yards to Zach Thompson. Dale was perfect, passing 3 of 3 for 110 yards. A little bit later on fourth down, he finds Sylvester Stewart in the back of the end zone. Robinson rolls and owns home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Final score, Senators 41, 1-9, Hot Springs 3. The Crossett Eagles, all the way up from Ashley County over at North Pulaski, looking to complete a perfect 10-0 season. And Ray Charles Tucker, that's his real name, and he rushed for 207 yards, 3 touchdowns for Crossett, including 2 in the first quarter, a 13-yarder, followed by this 19-yard touchdown. North Pulaski would keep it close, though, with its own backfield beast. That's Byron Lawrence. He totaled 221 yards on the night. Wasn't enough. Final score from Thursday night, undefeated Crossett 20, North Pulaski 6. At Vilonia, they've got one of the more exciting up-and-coming football programs in the state, and it was senior night for the Eagles last night, looking to sew up the number 2 spot from the 4A East. Vilonia getting it done on defense. Dusty Richards knocks the ball out. Patrick Combs recovers. That would set up strong-legged Scott Brooks for the field goal. Vilonia was up 3-0. On their next possession, Vilonia's Jake Gotcher, and he's got the Badgers, and he's got a touchdown. That made it 10-0. BB would answer, though. Wesley Lamb, he's just a sophomore. He hits Todd Watson, and Watson will weave his way to the end zone. That pulled BB to within 10-6. Now, in the second quarter, on 4th down and 4, Vilonia's Josh McIntyre takes it to the house, 24 yards, and the Eagles go on to win it. Final score, Vilonia 30, BB 18. In the regular season, they don't get much bigger than this. The Win Yellow Jackets at Batesville for the 4A East Championship. Batesville was up by 1 point at halftime, 15-14. That's when quarterback Kyle Francis takes over from the Pioneers. Our Sonic Super Team quarterback ran for 48 yards, passed for 89 more, and junior Tim Gildress will bull in for the touchdown to put Batesville up 22-12. The Pioneer D was tough all night, too, limiting Win to 1 offensive touchdown. Here's senior Jarrett Ramey coming up with the loose ball, and Batesville would take advantage. Childress caps the 6-play drive with the 12-yard blast, and Batesville, your Pioneers, are the champs for the first time in school history. Final score, undefeated Batesville, 29, Win 12.
This is definitely a special team. I've known all along since growing up with these guys. I've been with them, around them since 7th grade. I've known that when we were seniors, we're going to have a big group and just have a great team. Just finally, when we get our chance, we're capitalizing on it.
We tight, man. We real tight. And this senior leadership with it, that's the backbone right there.
And here is a look at Hooten's Arkansas football Class 4A rankings as we head to the playoffs. The Golden Goblins are on top and the outright 4A West champs. Harrison has home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Batesville finished the regular season undefeated and has tons of speed and skilled players. The Pioneers have never won a state title game, but they are on the opposite side of the bracket from Harrison. Crossett's number 3 and Robinson's 4. The Senators are undefeated and, like Harrison, will have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Greenwood's number 5 and Vilonia is number 6. The Eagles are the number 2 seed from the 4A East. They beat Win earlier this year. They're only lost by 7 points at Batesville. Vilonia is sky high and will play host to Hot Springs Lakeside next week. Sylvan Hills is number 7. Then it's Stuttgart, Win, and Alma. Whitehall starts the second 10. Arkadelphia has a turnaround season after winning 1 game last year. The Badgers finished second in the Southwest and are at home next week against Win. Hot Springs Lakeside is in the playoffs for the first time since 1997. Morrilton's number 14 and Paragold's 15. Greenbrier is the highest-ranked non-playoff team. The Panthers finished 5th in the rugged 4A West. West Helena's number 18. The Cougars didn't make the playoffs, but they did beat Stuttgart in the season finale for the second time in 3 years. Marion's number 19, and Malvern rounds out the top 20.
Now, the United States Marines present the Scholar Athlete of the Week.
When it comes to playing on Friday nights, Leopards quarterback Jace Roberts is as passionate as any.
It just drives me. Just to win is the ultimate goal. There's nothing better.
In the classroom, his passions are equally strong with a 4.0 GPA. Involved in the student body and other organizations on campus, Jace Roberts is the well-deserving Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Thank you, Joe Pequeno, and congratulations to Jace Roberts from Malvern, our Marine Scholar Athlete of the Week. The Leopards wrapped up their season on Thursday night with a 7-point loss to Arkadelphia. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football. Highlights from Class 3A are straight ahead. And we'll begin our Class 3A highlights with Hooten's Arkansas football new #1 team. Hello, CAC. The Mustangs wrapped up a perfect regular season last night at Bald Knob. Mustang Ellis Copeland with the handoff from Gates. He sprints away from the Bulldogs 75 yards, and CAC cruises in this one. The Mustangs have home field advantage for at least the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Final score, undefeated and #1, CAC 40, Bald Knob 7. The Brinkley Tigers needed to upset Pulaski Academy Friday night to get into the playoffs, but the Tigers could not stop Bruin senior quarterback Adam Thrash. On 4th and 11, Thrash hits his buddy Bo Rhodes for a first down. A bit later, on 4th and 4, it's Thrash to Jay Thorpe, and the Bruins are on the march. Thrash will hit his main man, John Aaron Reese, in stride for the touchdown. The Bruins cleared the bench late, and they are guaranteed at least one home playoff game. Final score, Bruins 41, Brinkley 12. The Star City Bulldogs were looking for the #1 playoff seed out of the 8 AAA, but had to win for the first time at Dollarway to capture it. The Cardinals led 6-0 in the second quarter Thursday night when Star City gets it going. With Big Charles Hall rumbling, Dollarway will finally get him down. That run sets up John Furneaux for the quarterback sneak, and Star City led it 7-6 at halftime. Star City's defense was especially tough, holding Dollarway to just 128 yards on the night, and the Bulldogs go on to win their first conference title. Final score, Star City 34, Dollarway 6. At Fountain Lake, the Cobras were trying to give Nashville its 6th loss of the season Friday night, and Nashville trailed 8-6 in the second quarter when the Scrappers put together a 78-yard scoring drive. After sophomore Derek Cox passes to Bernard Jones for 17 yards, he will again go to the air, throwing to McWayne Scroggins, and the senior wide receiver sprints to the end zone. Nashville would reel off 42 unanswered points, and the Scrappers are playoff bound for the 13th year in a row. That's the good news. The bad? The Scrappers travel next week to 2-time defending state champ Warren. Final score, Nashville 42, Fountain Lake 16. And we wrap up our AAA coverage at Lincoln, where an upset of Shiloh Christian would give the Wolves their 3rd win of the year. Don't think so. Shiloh's up 7-0 when quarterback Nathan Emmert gets the football to Scott Godwin, and the senior wideout does the rest for a 63-yard TD. A little bit later in the second quarter, Emmert goes up top again, this time to Corey Lang in the corner. That gave Shiloh a 27-point lead, and after a 1-year hiatus, the Saints are marching back to the playoffs. Final score, Shiloh Christian 40, Lincoln 8. As we head into the playoffs, there's a private school from Little Rock ranked #1 by Hooten's Arkansas football, but it's not the bunch that started the season there. Hello, Central Arkansas Christian. The Mustangs are 10-0 and will play host to a playoff game for the first time ever next week against Dover. Rivercrest is #2 this week. The Colts will have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and there's Pulaski Academy. The Bruins have not lost since its trip to Mustang Mountain. Ashdown's #4, and Star City is at #5. The Bulldogs are the top seed from arguably the toughest conference in the state, the 8 AAA. Star City will play host to the Queen Leopards next Friday. Warren shared the 8 AAA title with Star City. The Lumberjacks have won 5 straight games and are peaking in time for the playoffs. Atkins finished the regular season undefeated, and Prescott drops to #8 after losing to Ashdown. Then it's the Redskins and Waldron. Ozark starts the second 10. The Hillbillies are the 2nd seed from the 4 AAA and will play host to Berryville next Friday. Then it's the Greyhounds, the Bearcats, Gosnell, and Prairie Grove, the undisputed 1AAA champion. Shiloh Christian finished second in the 1AAA, and the Saints will play host to tradition-rich Boonville next week in a heck of a first-round matchup. Oak Grove continues to roll with junior running back Darren McFadden breaking records. Osceola's number 18, then it's Dollarway, and Greenland rounds out the top 20. Coming up next, more of Hooten's Arkansas football. Class 2A highlights are next. And we'll begin our Class 2A highlights at number 1, Charleston. The Tigers looking to pluck P. Ridge, and Charleston running back Drew Hill gets loose for 40 yards and the touchdown. He would finish the night with 125 yards, but P. Ridge stormed back. Stephen Woods caps the drive with a 6-yard run, and P. Ridge was down only by 1, 7-6. Then the Blackhawks took the lead in the second quarter. Watch P. Ridge senior Sean Ruda step in front of the pass from Matt Stewart and go the other way. 80 yards for the P. Ridge touchdown, but it wouldn't be enough. Charleston would rally in the second half and improves to 10-0 on the year. Final score, number 1 Charleston 13, P. Ridge 12. 5AA champion Bauxite wrapping up the regular season Thursday night at Cutter Morning Star. The Eagles were trying to even their record to 5-5, but the Miners were up 20-0 at halftime. Bauxite giving its playoff opponents something to think about. It's air Bauxite. The Miners attempted 4 passes and 5 plays to open the second half. Junior Kyle Smith hauls in this 40-yard touchdown pass from Zach Dunlap, and Bauxite blows out Cutter. The Miners will play host to Mineral Springs next week. Explosive Glen Rose traveled to Jesseville Friday night with playoff seedings on the line, and the night belonged to the defenses. Glen Rose's junior cornerback Donovan Whittam picks off the pass, and moments later, it's Jesseville with the pick. Michael Meredith returning the favor. Jesseville was able to chew up most of the fourth quarter with its ground attack and to protect an 11-point lead. The Lions will open the playoffs next week at home against Dirks. Glen Rose is headed for the 7AA West champion Gurdon, and the Go Devils were in attendance Friday night. Final score, Jesseville 23, Glen Rose 12. And here is Hooten's Arkansas football new Class 2A rankings. Charleston stays on top, but barely after squeaking by P. Ridge last night. Junction City Rising and the Barton Bears and Hector all won conference championships. Elkins moves up a spot to number 8 this week in the rankings, followed by Hampton and the Bauxite Miners. The Gurdon Go Devils made that trip to Jesseville Friday night and witnessed how to defend the Glen Rose spread attack, but can they duplicate it next week on the field? Lafayette County slips to number 13 after losing to Gurdon, and Augusta lost the 6AA title to Barton. The bottom 5 includes Hughes, Mount Ida, the Glen Rose Beavers, and Cross County. Palestine Wheatley won its first ever conference title Friday night, and the Patriots should handle Hazen next week for their first ever playoff victory. Thanks again for watching Hooten's Arkansas football this week. We look forward to seeing you in 7 days when we'll have a wrap-up of the first round of the playoffs. We'll have the highlights right here next week on Hooten's Arkansas football.